Keto and crime, keto and crime. We uncover the grime on keto and crime. Keto and crime, keto and crime. Now is the time for keto and crime.
Hey everyone, Tracy here from Keto and Crime. Thank you so much to every single one of my patrons and channel members. You make this possible. And you're one of the reasons I do this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if I haven't said it before, thank you. I'll sing it. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me and letting me geek out, not making fun of me like a lot of other people do, because I like weird stuff about crime and dark history. Thanks, everyone. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Keto and Crime. Today, I wanted to address something that happened very close to home. In fact, not even a half hour's drive from where I live now. Literally a walk from where my wife's grandmother used to live in the Green Hills neighborhood of Nashville, Tennessee, and that is the Covenant Presbyterian School shooting that occurred this Monday, the 27th of March, 2023. I did not want to do a video on this until all the facts were known, or at least most of the facts. There's still things that we don't know, but I wanted to address it and give you the facts as they stand. Not going to do an intro to the channel. Hopefully you know who I am. If you don't, I do true crime. This is just a very sober crime to talk about. And first, I want to talk about the things we should be talking about, and that is the victims. And they are Evelyn DeCaus, age 9. She was a 3rd grader. She had a sibling in the 5th grade at the same school. And the sibling has already said that they do not want to be an only child. This is how, it's just the human element of this that I think is often missed when we're gonna get caught up in all the media hoopla. Haley Scruggs, age 9. She was the daughter of Chad Scruggs, who was the head pastor of the Covenant Presbyterian Church to which the school was attached. William Kinney, age 9. Cynthia Peak, age 61, a substitute teacher. Catherine Coots, age 60. She was the headmaster or principal of the Covenant School. And Mike Hill, age 61, who worked as a custodian at the school. So you have 3 people in the dawn of their life. They hadn't even had a chance to live. And you have 3 people entering the twilight of their life, where you're supposed to be able to eventually look forward to retirement and living with your kids and your grandkids or your family and your friends, and their life was cut short as well by the perpetrator, who I will name once. Audrey Hale, 28, Nashville, a former student of the school. It is said that she lived in the 12th South area of Nashville, which is another neighborhood that is connected to the Green Hills neighborhood by one main thoroughfare. Both of these communities are upper middle class, so you have to assume that she lived a fairly affluent lifestyle. And yes, I do know that she has been identified now as a transgender man, but because I am going to refer to this person as the shooter moving forward, I'm not going to worry about quote unquote dead naming them, because I'm just going to call them the shooter. She was a biological female that was supposedly transitioning or identifying as a male, but I'm just going to call her the shooter. And in my mind, I'm going to call her what she actually is, a human piece of garbage. And if you disagree with that, and this is my opinion toward any murderer, any mass shooter, then click off right now. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to get into politics about it. So let's just call the shooter the shooter. Thank you. So now we're going to break down the timeline of events, what we know about what happened that day, and then I'll get into analyzing the shooter. But what we do know is that security camera at the Covenant School caught the shooter arriving at the school on Monday at 10:13 Central Time. Most of Tennessee is in the Central Time Zone, and it caught her Honda Fit driving up to the school. And then a few minutes later, it showed her she was armed with 2 rifles, both AR style, and a handgun. And it shows her going to a side door and shooting out the glass to enter the school. I will put that surveillance video right here.
Discretion is advised. It does show the moments the shooter entered the school and began looking around. Let's watch. Okay, so there you can see the vehicle the shooter drove, that 28-year-old from Nashville, driving up in the parking lot here of the school. This was released just moments ago by the Metro Nashville Police Department. The shooter, who the police identified as Audrey Hale, saying that the individual identifies as transgender, entered the building by firing through a side door. There you see it. The shooter walks in, kicks the glass, armed with 2 assault-style weapons and a handgun. That's according to John Drake. He's the Nashville Police Department chief there.
It was roughly around that same timeline that the first 911 calls entered to Metro Nashville Police Department. They responded within minutes, and by 10:27, the shooter was dead and the school was secure. We do know that Metro Nashville Police Department did release body cam footage held by 2 officers, Rex Engelbert, who was one of the first ones on the scene, and Michael Colazzo, who is right behind him. But basically what the body cam footage shows is the police breaking into a team of 3 and then another team of, it appears to be about 5. They entered the school after getting some information from students and, teachers outside. Because remember, this is an elementary school. The oldest children in the school were approximately 11 to 12 years old. So this was preschool through 6th grade. So these are incredibly young children. This was the most heinous of targets. Only a children's hospital or a baby ward in a hospital would be more heinous than this target. So it shows the teams entering the school on the bottom level and methodically moving from door to door, checking each room, and then shots by the shooter were fired from the 2nd floor, and both teams moved upstairs. And then you hear the police begin to push and move toward the direction of the shooter. It appears that Engelbert shoots Hale, and she initially goes down and then continues to reach for her weapons, and that literally causes the other officers to fire at her well. She was struck multiple times and was eventually killed by her wounds. But what we do know is the entire thing, from the first 911 call to the shooter going down, took about 14 minutes, which is a testament to Metro Nashville Police Department. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you. Now, I cannot post that body cam footage for you here on this channel, but you can see it on Metro Nashville's own YouTube channel, which I will link in the description and up here if it will allow me to. So if you want to see that actual body cam footage, there's about 7 minutes of footage, and it's from 2 different body cams. Go watch that. It is in my opinion, textbook police procedure. If you want to see a detailed breakdown of a police officer rating their response, go over to the Officer Tatum's channel. He has a video now where he breaks down the footage for you and says what they did right, what they didn't do so good. So if you want to see that, definitely go over there. Now, let's talk about the shooter. As we said, 28-year-old, biological female, identifies as a male. I do not think that her being transgender influenced the shooting, at least from the baseline. I don't believe that it was just an error because she was transgender. She went and did this shooting. But I will break it down to mental illness. You can look at any mass shooter, any serial killer that I have ever covered. They all exhibit one thing: symptoms and signs of mental illness. And this is confirmed by police by saying after interviewing her family, she was being treated for an undisclosed emotional disorder as well as being on the autistic spectrum. Not saying that I'm not saying anything bad about people on the autistic spectrum, but I'm just saying these are the facts. So, undiagnosed emotional disorder plus beginning a transition from female to male. I don't know yet if she was taking hormones, if she was taking testosterone. That could have contributed. I'm just saying, well, I'm going to put a picture of her here before her transition, followed by one after her transition, and you tell me if this child has not been through a mental decline. Now, going back to what I said, any other killer I've ever covered has signs of mental illness. Normal people do not do this sort of thing. They just don't. Charles Whitman, who was the Texas Tower shooter in the 1960s, he had signs of depression and also had a brain tumor. John List, the man that famously wiped out his entire family and managed to stay free for almost 20 years, also signs of depression, narcissistic disorder. The Pulse nightclub shooter, a closeted gay man that was also very, very ardent Islamic, showed signs of depression, anxiety, definitely self-loathing there. The shooter that took out the school in Colorado a few years ago that was also transgender, but also was showing signs of aggressive anxiety and depression. I could go on and on about every killer that I've ever covered, and there's always mental illness there. That is what calls this pure and simple. We do know, according to police, that they did search the shooter's home in the 12th South area of Nashville and found a manifesto, as well as interviewed their family, where they found out she was being treated for yet unnamed emotional disorder. And so we do know that there was probably something that fed that mental illness and the outward projection of it. So we'll be as of the recording of this video, this manifesto has not been released. So yeah, once that's released, I will go over it with you line by line if you would like to see that. So yes, just like the Christchurch shooter that shot up the mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand, and I did cover that video if you'd like to see it. I'll link it right up here. He was also showed early signs of mental illness and was motivated by some sort of manifesto. He had something was feeding the outward personification or the actioning of that mental illness. And I am not making excuses for this shooter. She is heinous. She's a piece of garbage, just like every other mass shooter in the history of this country. And I don't care what you identify as, what color you are, what religion you are. There is something innately wrong with you if you pick up a weapon of any kind and use it to kill innocent people, especially children. This was an elementary school. It was also noted that there was some other locations she had possibly thought about doing this on, but because of the level of security, she decided to go towards the one with the least amount of security, which shows that she wanted to do the most damage possible, no matter what her motives were. We also know that she sent a text and an Instagram message to a friend, basically warning the friend that this was going to happen. The friend tried to tell her she had so much to live for, yada, yada, yada. I'll put those messages right here. Did not work. There's also allegations that this friend did go to the police with it, but it was kind of too late at that point. So we know that the shooter had no previous criminal record, so we have to assume that this was a mental break that was coming for a long time. And as more information comes out, I will cover it. But for now, please send all thoughts, all prayers, whatever you can do to help the families, these 6 families that have lost brothers, sisters, children, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, fathers, to comfort them, because they are the most important thing, I think, in this thing. Even though the ramifications of this case will go on and on as we get into the media and how they will stir up argument about what caused it, it's pure and simple. Lack of security and mental illness. It's as plain as the sun above my head right now. That's what caused it. And we've got to do something about that, or this is going to continue to happen. Anyway, that is my facts-filled report with a little bit of opinion thrown in there. It's hard not to, but I will be back very, very soon with more updates on this and other cases. I will be doing a Lori Vallow live stream very, very soon. And until then, take care of each other. Love each other. Keto and crime.